Well, hello again there, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Kid bringing you game number 2 between the Blue Terran and the Blue Protoss. Sorry, yes, I do know who the Protoss and Terran are. This is Startails Parting, and up in the top left of Shakur's Plateau, this is MVP DongRaeGu, and like I said, this is game 2 in this series, folks. And if you missed the first game, Parting pulled off some amazing play. I seriously thought DongRaeGu had a huge lead, but Parting had some brilliant stalker play that really paid off for him in the end and eventually led to him winning. So I would definitely recommend going back, watching game number 1. There's definitely a lot to learn from it. Parting shows you Protoss exactly how to do an assault with blink stalkers. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and get into this game a little bit. This is Shakur's Plateau, in case you didn't hear me the first time. And I love this map. This map has been on the ladder for a really long time, and I really enjoy it. I think it's a great map for macro, just because it so easily divides itself along this center axis. And even, because there's no close spawn by ground, so because Parting is here, his opponent cannot spawn here. And for the same thing for DongRaeGu, his opponent cannot spawn here. So it really leads itself to macro games where you see the true skill of both players. You don't tend to see a whole lot of cheese or anything like that. And Protoss have really learned more on this map than any other map a brilliant play that seems to like always work. I feel like every time I see a Protoss player pull this off, what I'm about to say, they win the game. And that is, they'll get some sentries in a warp prism and they'll drop them right here. They'll block off this ramp. Usually this only works against Zerg. They'll block off this ramp, or I guess I should go up to DongRaeGu's base, and then they'll just warp in wave after wave of zealots and stalkers with that warp prism, while blocking off this ramp the whole time. This keeps the Zerg from getting his entire army up here and allows the Protoss player to basically have his way with this base. So I would definitely recommend trying that, Protoss players, if you're looking for, just a way to mix it up, especially for for those of us that aren't in like Masters, Grandmaster leagues. I feel like we tend to do very standard timing pushes. We don't get very creative. You don't see a lot of the crazy plays from, diamond, mid to low diamond and lower. But Protoss, it's something that's not really that hard. You just get out warp prisms and go for it. Don't worry about it. I apologize a little bit for my computer being a little slow right there, but I think it's past now. So anyway, DongRaeGu looking to bring this back. He did get beat up pretty bad in the last game, and Parting's going to go ahead and start off with a pretty standard Forge Fast Expand. He did get the Forge first, not the Gateway, and throwing down a cannon right here. Basically, this wall is going to be impenetrable to the Zerg at this point. Kind of an interesting play right here. DongRaeGu scouting out with a lot of lings again to look for those pylons. I feel like he's really nervous these last couple of games about any kind of warp-ins, things like that. Maybe he knows something I don't. Well, I know he knows something that I don't about Parting. But usually you won't see a Zerg player get this many lings this early if they're going for macro play, mainly because that's 3 drones that you could be putting on harvesting. And as much as it doesn't sound like a lot, the faster you get those drones out, the faster you can really start macroing and getting your army out. So DRG really needs to keep active with these lings, keep looking for those pylons, checking around the map, looking to make sure that he doesn't get any surprise attacks in on him. And he's going to go ahead and see about the timing of this, not completely, but yeah. And just another thing to point out, this is one of 2 ways that Protoss can sort of go for Forge Fast Expand. Protoss, you can also sort of wall off right here. Now this does give more surface area to attack from, but it also keeps things closer to home and makes it a little easier to get zealots around in there and things like that. So a couple ways that you can Forge Fast Expand on here, and it's because of that I think this is a very well balanced map for Protoss. I think any map where they can secure a second like this tends to be good for them. And it really makes it so that they can get up to 2 base. Now, obviously, 2 base isn't ideal for Protoss, but it's well on your way to that 3rd base. And look at this. Parting going to go ahead, just like last game, throw down a Stargate. Chances are we'll see him get out some sort of Void Ray. And yeah, we've got him sending it all the way over to the 3rd base. So yeah, he's pretty certain he knows what DongRaeGu's doing. DongRaeGu, once again, very well known for hopping up to 3 bases very quickly. He likes to play those macro games. And Oh, the Zealot does get 2 Zergling kills. Now, for those of you who aren't aware of this, you can actually kill a Zealot pretty easily without losing any lings. You just basically pull the damaged ling off after the first time it gets attacked, and then you bring it back in to continue doing DPS. It's really not that hard. I mean, it might sound difficult, and it is kind of APM heavy, but, you know, if you can save those lings are going to be great for map control. You can always leave a ling right here to scout out when the Protoss is getting ready to push, all those sorts of things. So, going into, we're still a little bit in the macro mode of this game, the early game macro. DRG is jumping up to a 3rd base, and with 3 gas down, I would imagine he will do some kind of roach play. We don't see a roach warren yet. Here's 1 Evo chamber. Yeah, no roach warren yet, but there it goes. Just got dropped down. That's pretty standard for you Zerg players whenever you're looking to go for some sort of roaches. Usually for 2 or 3 bases, you want at least 3 extractors. You can jump up to 1 more because you're on that 3rd base. But right now, yeah, and there we go. DongRaeGu going to go ahead, drop down his 4th one. DongRaeGu not necessarily wanting to commit too much to gas at this point. He really wants to get as many minerals out as he can so that he can get his drone count up as quickly as possible. And look at this, DongRaeGu sensing, I believe he actually saw the Void Ray. I would imagine he has. Yeah, he's seen the Void Ray, so he's going to go ahead and throw up some Spore Crawlers at each of his bases, give him that extra defense just in case some Phoenixes come out as well. And now it's up to him to see what kind of tech he wants to do. He is getting +1 armor for his ground units and speed for his lings. And at this point, we see Parting doing a bit of a risky push, in my opinion. Now, the only reason I say that is because this is a lot of Zealots, and as good as Zealots are, they're very susceptible to the roaches, and basically only having 2 Void Rays right here is pretty risky because those queens will focus down those Void Rays really, really quick if they're given the chance. And I really don't know if I agree with this push by Parting. That was a kind of a lame push for 10 minutes into the game. 2 Void Rays isn't going to do very much, especially with DongRaeGu powering out his queens as quickly as possible. And yeah, Parting's going to be forced to make his way back. DongRaeGu's going to take this time to throw up a Spire, get his extractors count going down full. He has thrown down all of his available extractors. I wouldn't even be that surprised to see him throw down a 4th base after denying that push. He's definitely going to be in a strong point. He knows that he did quite a bit of damage. If we look at the units, those 2 Void Rays are still alive. Where are they? I don't know exactly where they are. But anyway, now here's one of them. It did take a little bit of hull damage, and look at this. He is trying to secure these Xel'Nagas. Now, obviously, the air units can't take the Xel'Nagas, but they can keep, like, 1 Ling or 1 Roach from handling them. But DongRaeGu playing kind of new age right here. I like this. Bringing 3 queens with him. Now, they are slower than crap. I mean, it's going to take him, 3 eternities to get down to this base. But what this is going to allow him to do is it's going to allow him to deal with these Void Rays, and he is saving up energy with these queens. This means that if it should come down to it, he will have transfuses available for the queens, just in case those Void Rays start doing quite a bit of damage. But I really don't see him doing a whole lot of damage with this. It would be really risky to push. There are a lot of sentries there, and Parting has been powering out a lot of Stalkers, and they do have Blink, so it would be very easy for him to trap these roaches on this ramp and then just pick them off with Stalkers. So DRG, seeing that this is going to happen, going to go ahead, drop down his 4th base. He is working on getting quite a few mutas out right now. 9 on the way, and I think, okay, so that's all he's going to have. 2 more just thrown down with +1 weapons on the way. So this is really, I really like this queen play by DongRaeGu. This is going to keep these Void Rays from being able to do too much damage with against these roaches, and it's going to keep him very dangerous against this army. Now, granted, these sentries do have a lot of energy. Oh no, and DongRaeGu's army gets trapped. That's huge for Parting. But if he loses these Void Rays, that's terrible news. Oh my gosh. It's 2 HP left on that one. And some great transfuses here by DongRaeGu. Definitely not going to throw those queens away without a fight, but Parting taking that battle decisively. Not going to let DRG get away with anything in this one. Now, he does need to be careful attacking into these spine crawlers. They will be able to do quite a bit of damage. And this is actually a much more dangerous push by Parting. This is a great move by him. Now, watch this. He does have this observer here, which makes it very possible for him to blink up on this ridge. And DongRaeGu beautifully setting up the flank right now. He wants to make sure he can get a perfect surround if at all possible. And look at this. Parting scooting his way around these spine crawlers to get the perfect angle on them, so he's really only fighting one at a time. But here come the Zerglings. The sentries were out of position for just a second, but Parting not overcommitting in any way to that push. Now, this is a really strong push by Parting, but I feel like the biggest danger for him right now is that he is about to be trapped on 2 bases. As dangerous as this push is, DRG does have quite a few Mutalisks out that can pick off these sentries, which will then allow these Lings to just have their way with this army. And Parting's still doing a good job, but he does need to be careful. If he loses this army, he is in a lot of trouble. He will not be able to expand behind this. And there we go. DRG doing a great job at picking off those sentries. Look at how much faster this army disintegrates after those sentries go down. And look, there's the GG. Parting realizing that he has no way to expand off that. That was basically a 13-minute all-in. I hope you guys enjoyed this game. A couple great tips in here for those aspiring Zerg and Protoss players, and I'll see you guys at game number 3.